With me today is Ricky Chen. He's also in the technical support department. We're both with the APAC support department. So when you guys have any problems, you'll be contacting us, which I believe you've already done. If you have any problems or hearing, just let me know at any time. If you have any questions during the webinar, just respond in the chat, or I believe we've muted everyone else. So just respond in the chat, and then after the presentation, we can do a question and answer session. Okay, so let's begin. So today we're going to talk about mass deployment of Grandstream products. Let's go on. So for today, the agenda is going to be, we're going to cover 3 topics: XML provisioning, UCM zero configuration, and gaps. These are the 3 ways that you can automatically provision Grandstream endpoints, so your users don't have to go through the hassle of configuring devices themselves, and you can automate the process and make it much more streamlined. Okay. So the first one we're going to cover is XML provisioning. And this basically means that you're going to prepare an XML file beforehand with all the configurations for the device that you plan on deploying, the GXP, for example, or one of the Android phones. You're going to prepare all the settings that you want loaded into the file, and basically have the phone pull that file down and configure itself automatically. 3 methods you use for this is TFTP, HTTP, and HTTPS. And the file type is, of course, XML. And we use XML so we can secure or encrypt the file. And this is the provisioning flow. That's what's going to happen when the phone boots up. So it's going to boot up. It's going to look for, by default, all of our phones look for a legacy configuration file as a binary file. We've stopped using that method because it's insecure and there's some loopholes. Some of our users and some of our developers have found. So that's why we've phased that out. The next, so if there were a binary file, you could still use it, but we don't suggest that. So after that's over, it's going to request for an XML file. The naming convention for that file is CFG MACaddress.xml. And once it locates that file, if it does locate that file, it will download it and apply it. You can see if it's a yes, it's going to parse and apply that configuration, and it's going to be done. If it doesn't find it, it's going to request it again, and then try to do the same procedure. So after a few tries, it's going to stop. And this, what you see on the screen right here, and this is our configuration template. You can download it from that address right there, grandstream.com/support/tools. This is basically a file listing all the p-values, and that's how we name all the settings each of our products uses for the settings. It's going to be P and a number. These are unique to a specific setting throughout the entire range of Grandstream products. So P2, for example, on all products will be the administrative password. So you don't have to remember one P value for one product and another P value for another product. They'll be all the same. And you can download this file, like I said, from that address. It'll give you a list, depending on the model or the device, what p-values will apply to it. And you can see from there, and then any ones that you want to use, comment them out, and they'll be applied. Anything that's commented, it won't be applied. And this is just the format of the XML. It's just standard XML format. You see there MAC, list the MAC address of the device, and then the p-values inside the brackets is the value for that setting, either yes or no or some other value. And then for example, 271 and 270, p-value is going to be 0 for that one, and then the other one is going to be account name. There is a utility that we provide I believe it's on the website. I'm not, I haven't used it myself, but it will automatically allow you to convert that text file with those p-values into an XML file. So you don't have to go through the process of manually converting it. You can use that utility to automatically convert that text file with those p-values into this format so your phones can automatically download them. Okay, so that basically covers the gist of provisioning with XML config file, and it's pretty short and pretty brief. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to raise them up with us about that. The next topic we're going to cover is ZeroConfig. Also, by the way, this webinar is going to be about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll have about 20 minutes for Q&A afterwards. So it's going to be fairly brief, cover major topics, nothing too detailed. So this is the second topic we're going to cover. Is called ZeroConfig utility. Most of you guys probably already seen it. It's a built-in utility inside the UCM to automatically provision our endpoints when working in conjunction with the UCM. It only works with Grandstream endpoints. It will discover other vendor endpoints, but you won't be able to do anything with it. It's just for information purposes. Simply stated, it's made for plug and play. It can auto-discover endpoints, automatically assign them extensions, or they can choose from a list of available extensions to assign themselves, and it'll reduce, excuse me one second, it will reduce minimal or make minimal manual operation for the end users. And these are some of the web pages and fields you'll be working with if you use this product or utility. So this is the flow for ZeroConfig. Basically, there's a few ways that our devices get their configurations through ZeroConfig. When they boot up, by default, they're going to start sending SIP subscribe multicast to the local network. And if the UCM is also on that network, the UCM is going to pick that up. And if it's listed in the ZeroConfig and ZeroConfig is enabled, then it'll go ahead and start configuring that device. That's one way to configure the endpoints. Another way to configure the endpoints through ZeroConfig is by configuring the settings first, and then once the product is online, you can push out the configs from the interface of ZeroConfig on the UCM. You can see from here how it all happens. This is just the settings. Basically, when you go to the ZeroConfig page, this is what you'll see. You have the option of enabling it at the very top. You also have the option of automatically assigning extensions. So you're going to create a list of extensions on the UCM, and then each endpoint, when it boots up, once it detects that your ZeroConfig is working and the UCM detects the endpoint as well, it can automatically assign an extension to that device with the proper settings, or you can have the phone choose from a list of available extensions, and that's the third bullet down, the enable pick extensions that will allow the user to basically decide which extension they want from a list of available extensions. And the segment right there says pick extension segments. Like I said before, ZeroConfig, one of the ways it detects devices, one of the ways that you can detect devices is by pinging for them. So that's one way you can detect. It lets you basically ping everything on the LAN side. With this utility right here is on that ZeroConfig page as well. You can opt for it, and you can send a SIP message or a SIP notify message to determine what devices are on the local network. And once you do that, at the very bottom you'll see a list of devices that it has discovered, include the MAC address, the IP address, if there's an extension already assigned to it. It gives you basically a whole list of information, even the firmware version of the device. So if you need to upgrade that device, then you can determine from here if that has to happen. So there's a few methods in ZeroConfig, or a few levels in ZeroConfig for the settings that you want to apply. There's a global level, which is very basic settings that can be applicable to pretty much all of our devices. And then there's more specific model level settings that you can apply. So global settings is going to be located on the web UI under PBX ZeroConfig global policies, and you can make templates from there to basically automatically provision those devices once it's found. And excuse me for the slide, some of these are kind of messed up. So these are some of the things that you can automatically provision through the global policy. Localization, you can configure the display language, date and time, contact lists, basically a phone book via LDAP or XML. Maintenance, on each of our phones there's a maintenance tab. You can configure what provisioning or firmware server is looking at, configuration server is looking at, enable, disable telnet access or SSH access depending on the device, slug and other things. Network settings as well. So all of these parameters you can adjust from this global policy. And just an example of what it looks like, you'll get the drop-down menu. From there you select exactly what parameter you want to specify for that, or the setting you specify for that parameter. So I already discussed this. This is the other level of ZeroConfig that you can be more specific or apply more specific settings to each model. So here on the right you can see a picture, a diagram of what you'll see when you log in into the ZeroConfig utility. You'll see that they have a picture of the model that you're looking at, drop-down menu. From there you can specify, if configuration is enabled for that device, and other parameters. You can specify BLFs here, for example here, and basically more specific model settings that aren't available on other models. For example, on our 2140, GXP 2140, that is capable of attaching an extension panel. So in this page, you can specify the BLFs and MPKs for that. Okay. So I hear that we have some audio issues. I'm going to hold off for a second. Yeah, testing. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys still hear me? Let me know in chat.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Seems like everything's back to normal, so I'm going to continue. So like I was saying, some products have specific settings only to them. The 2140, GXP 2140, for example, has an extension panel that can be added to it to provide extra BLF keys and multi-purpose keys. So that will be available here. For example, our Android devices have other settings, Wi-Fi settings, for example, So that will be available here. And you can also create new devices, so you can automatically assign extensions here, and then once all these settings are created, once the device is discovered, or you push out the config, you can push out those configs from here. Okay, let me just breeze through some of these. Go to the. I want to cover the last topic, which is gaps, and that's going to be a little bit more involved. So let's save this for the end if you have any questions. Okay. So this is the third method that you can use to automatically provision our endpoints, and it's our web-based gaps system. It's called the Grandstream Automatic Provisioning Service. What this is a service for our distributors and resellers. We'll provide you with an account. You log in at fm.grandstream.com, and from there you have access to your company profile, which means you'll have access to all the Macs that you've purchased, or all the devices that you purchase will list the Macs there under your company profile, and then you can from there assign different provisioning profiles for each Mac depending on what you want it to do. For example, you can have a certain Mac assigned to a certain end user, and that can be assigned a redirection profile. So when that device boots up, as long as it has this fm.grandstream.com slash, I forget the exact, slash GS in that firmware server path and config server path, it's going to look at this system, and as long as it has internet access, of course, it's going to look at the system, see if it has a provisioning profile and allow to be provisioned on the system, and the system, if it does, will push out those configs to it. And this is just what you'll see when you log in. On the left-hand side, you'll see all the links you can have: profile management, device management, company user management, device log, which I believe will allow you to see what devices are accessing gaps and pulling down configurations and so forth. Under profile management, this is basically, so what you can do here is we'll assign available extensions to your account, not extensions, I'm sorry. We'll assign available profiles to your account, and from that list you'll be able to apply them to different devices. On the left-hand side up here, you can see some of the profiles that are previously created. At the top is redirection profile. Basically what that does is when the device boots up, it's going to look at this, and then this system will tell it to fetch its provisioning file from another server somewhere. And you can see on the bottom right some details about that. For example, this one is telling the device to fetch its provisioning file from TFTP or via TFTP from that IP address and firmware from that URL. And these profiles, right now, if you want to have a specific unique profile, you'll need to contact us and we'll create the profile for you. So you'll let us know exactly what parameters you want to specify, and we'll create that profile and assign it to your company account, and then you'll be able to use that profile to provision endpoints. This is where most of what you're going to do when you log into gaps. This is where it'll occur under device management. Basically here it'll list all the MAC addresses that are assigned to your company, whether they're allowed to be provisioned, whether they are provisioned, and it'll allow you to reassign them to sub companies that you created and so forth. This is just one of the tabs from the previous page. Basically list, excuse me, basically list on the left-hand side the MAC address. By default, all of our MAC's gonna start with a 000B82, so you know, and then unique from that point on. And it's gonna list what account is assigned to. For example, the first three are assigned to GS reseller _ Lewis. Second, and the next four are assigned to a different account, a sub account under that primary account, and so forth. Create time is when that device was added into gaps and whether it's provisioned or not. And as you can see in that picture as well, there's check marks on the right hand side if you were check whichever one you wanted, and then at the bottom left you can reassign them to a different account or sub account under this primary account. This is where you add a new device. Actually, excuse me. Okay, so we skipped one step, and let me see. On this page, there is one link missing. It's called Input MAC, and this is where, actually, excuse me, that's where we'll do it, where we'll input the MAC address and assign it to your account. So you wouldn't see that link there. Excuse me for that diversion. So once the MAC address is already assigned to your account, you go to the device management and new device, and this is where you will assign a provisioning profile to that MAC address. And it's fairly straightforward and simple. You can assign a single, you can set up a single MAC address, or you can set up a whole list of MAC addresses from here. And this just shows you what devices are provisioned, the MAC address, the device model, and the profile that's assigned to it. And you can update the device from here. You can remove that profile from here, or you can download the CFG, which will include all the p-values for that device. And this is fairly simple. Search provision devices if you were searching for a specific MAC, because in some company profiles they have thousands, tens of thousands of MACs. This is a simple utility to allow you to search a specific MAC if there's any problem with one device. And here you can just see a list of companies, sub-companies under your primary company, and a link to their settings page. And here you can see the, actually I already covered this. This is where you reallocate MAC addresses assigned to your primary company to sub-companies. So for example, Alloy, if they had another reseller underneath them, they would create a sub-account for them and then go to this page, click on all the MACs that they want to reassign, and then go to the bottom left, select the sub-account that they create, and click on Allocate MACs. And they will assign those MACs to that sub-account. That sub-account will be able to do pretty much everything that this primary account can do, except it cannot create other accounts. And along with creating companies and sub-companies, you'll be able to create users. So company manager, that's the top level user, allows you to do pretty much everything we've discussed. From there, when you log in, you can create a sub-company and sub-company user, and then other lower tier accounts. They're the three accounts that, or three levels that is available to you. Normal user basically can provision devices, and then read-only for users that need only to have access to see what profiles are provisioned with what devices. This is just where you create a user for a parent company. Very simple username, password, and some more information about the user, and then their role. And this is how to create a user for a sub company. Basically the same thing. Just click on company management and click on the sub company, and you get the same interface from there. And that pretty much concludes our webinar for automatic provisioning of mass devices. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, so let's go right ahead into the Q&A session.
Okay, guys, so it's just Scott from Alloy here. So if you do have any questions, all you need to do is actually raise your hand on the GoToWebinar panel. We'll unmute you and you can fire those questions away. Now, if you are a little bit shy and don't want to ask any questions over audio, please just type them into the questions panel and we can read them out for you and get them answered. Okay, Ian, so no questions yet, so I'll get started. First of all, Ian, just quickly, can you just run over what product ranges from Grandstream support auto-provisioning and whether they all support the same methods? So the phones, IP cameras, gateways, do they all support provisioning? And if so, all devices provision the same way?
Yes, I know for sure that our hard phones, they support that. Our gateways support auto provisioning. Ricky, who's here with me now, can probably shed light on the surveillance side. I believe they do, but he can clarify, and he can type it in chat. You can see. But pretty much all of our devices support auto provisioning in the same exact manner.
Okay, thanks, Ian. Okay, and Ricky just said yes, so surveillance cameras are all exactly the same as well. And they can also, all the cameras can also be provisioned via the UCM and the ZeroConfig facility as well.
Yes, Ricky has confirmed that they also can do that, and he just stated it is by ZeroConfig as well. But just so we're clear, ZeroConfig only works on the LAN side, so only the local devices can be configured via ZeroConfig.
Okay, now guys, in regards to the GAPS service, if you do want to get a GAPS account, please contact Alloy and we'll get that arranged for you. Alright guys, if there's no other questions, no audio questions, no chat questions, well Ian, you must have done a good job. No one's got any questions at all for you.
Either a good job or a bad job, I'm not sure, but we'll see. Depends on how many emails we get.
Alright guys, you sure? No questions at all before we wrap things up? Okay, looks like we're all good.
Okay.
Alright Ian, thank you very much for the time, and also Ricky as well. You guys are in the US and it's getting late for you guys, so we do appreciate the time that you put in to get through this webinar today.
Sure, no problem at all. It was a pleasure.
Alright guys, thank you very much. We'll end it there and we'll see you all on the next webinar. Thank you guys.
Great. Have a great day.